Hello, everyone. My name is Zach Abraham, and I am back at it again with the second week of Buckeye Ledger. I would like to introduce somebody who some of you may know, some of you may not know. I have with me today Professor Patrick Kielty of the audit profession. He's going to talk with us today about a few of the questions that'll help serve us when turning into the career professionals that we are. So it's great to have you here today, Professor Kielty.
Thanks. Looking forward to this.
I was doing a little bit of a deep dive in research beforehand, looking at your LinkedIn. I see you've had quite the journey, coming from senior course member at City Year to now teaching at Ohio State. Can you give us a little bit of an intro into who you are and what role you have at Ohio State?
Sure. So here I teach auditing. I have mostly taught at the undergrad level. This is the first year that I'm teaching in the MAC program. I absolutely love it. The MAC students are great. They're very eager to talk in class, and it's been a lot of fun hanging out with you guys.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the MAC. I hope you're liking it as much as we are. What would be, kind of getting deeper, what would be some of your most eye-opening experiences during the transition throughout your career life and then working to school? So like getting back into like higher ed sort of things. Any particular moments that have shaped how you approach your teaching today?
So just in terms of like higher ed, I remember when I was leaving Duke and I was entering the PhD program at Florida, I got really good advice from one of my mentors where she said, hey, grad school is going to be like drinking from the fire hose, especially a PhD program in accounting. So that in terms of like what was shocking or kind of jarring, my first few years in the PhD program were pretty rough. And I actually came pretty close to getting kicked out of the PhD program. My cat is here joining us. Hello, this is Pippa. So yeah, I think I really struggled my first few years in the PhD program. I finally figured out the type of research that I like to work on, which is audit research. And then I also had a great mentor. His name's Robert Neckel at Florida. He's like the audit godfather. So like I feel like I got what I think is like the best training from Florida. And once I kind of figured that out, that helped, that kind of smoothed things out. And then I think I placed well. Like I got really lucky getting a job at Ohio State, but I'm really happy that I ended up here.
That's awesome. Very insightful. And I definitely will ask you about mentors later on too.
Yes.
One of the things that we do talk about in class though, that maybe isn't on a resume or LinkedIn, is you talk about rowing. Also being, you did that, I think you said you did it collegiately. And being able to say that you did that as well as working in auditing and helping us out, I found that there's some similarities being like the discipline, attention to detail, and synchronization specifically. Looking back at your athletic career, were there moments that you drew on lessons you learned from rowing to like help your professional challenge? And like, was there a specific experience that stands out to you?
So I think the thing that I learned from rowing that is most applicable is just the simple like hard work and get it done. So rowing as an undergrad, you get up every single morning at 4:50 a.m. You get out the door at 5:10. You're on the water at like 5:30, 5:45. Get off the water at 7:15, hustle to class, sometimes grab food and like get after it. And that instilled discipline in me. And that like it totally changed who I was as a person. And I think that allowed me to say like, okay, if I can do that and then also do a second workout in the afternoon pretty much every day, I can do whatever it is. And it's really fun too. Like when I look at my college teammates and like where they're very successful. Like we have my college captain is a fighter pilot. He went to Top Gun, graduated Top Gun. We have another guy that flies for the Marine Corps. We've had people that are like really successful in business. We have a lot of like CPAs. My friend Colin went on and got a PhD in physics from Cornell. Like it's really cool to see all those guys. And I think it all comes back to the discipline that we learned and the teamwork that we learned from rowing at UMass.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think this is kind of on topic, but there was for the Olympics this year, there was someone that was working, I want to say either JP Morgan or some sort of investment banking that ended up rowing for the United States team. And I thought they placed or something like that, but
Oh yeah,
I think
so
it's really cool.
Yeah, his name is Justin Best. He's the man. He is an investment banker for like a middle market firm out in San Francisco.
Wow.
And he won an Olympic gold medal. And they won the first gold medal since 1960 in the men's four. So that was like a very like, that was
Wow.
awesome. Yeah. And he's a character too. He's a good follow on LinkedIn because he's like, he's really funny.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to check him out then. That's really cool.
Yeah, he's a
So
good dude.
kind of circling back, we talked on your mentor, the Godfather at UF. Some people find their mentors by accident, and sometimes they come into our lives and we don't realize how much we need them. Looking at your journey, was there a mentor, probably who we're talking about, or even just a conversation that you can point to as the pivot moment in how you saw the world?
Oh yeah. So there was one in particular, Duke. I remember I went to Jennifer Francis, she's a professor there, like absolute legend. She's now in the dean suite at Duke University, not even the business school. And I told her, I was like, I want your job. Like, I want to teach accounting. And she was great. She gave me the playbook on how to get into a PhD program, how to tailor my application. I also remember her saying, like, look, we all love to teach, but you kind of have to like hide that secret because a PhD, first and foremost, like they want to make a researcher out of you. I think most of us got into this because we had mentors in the classroom, but that conversation completely changed the trajectory of my life. And it was really exciting. Like she wrote me a letter of recommendation. I realize now who she was, or who she is. But at the time, I didn't know that she was like one of the absolute top researchers, and like her letters of recommendation like carried a lot of weight. So
Wow.
Jennifer's like I'm super thankful to her, and that's why I'm like a very loyal Duke alum is because
Hmm.
they took me to a place that I didn't know was possible. And
Hmm.
the other thing I would tell you too is like getting into a PhD program in accounting is very competitive. My year, I was the only student that was selected. Like right
Wow.
now, we have probably 4 or 5 students total in our PhD program in OSU, and like we're a really good PhD program.
Hmm. Wow. Well, thank you for the insight on the mentors as well as like what it looks like and that higher, even higher step. I know a few of my classmates are thinking about that next step too. Kind of talking about the PhD, I want to shift into more of like professional insights and what you've gotten to in the accounting world too. So, your PhD work at UF, working in accounting and auditing, what were some challenges in the industry that your research illuminated for you? And I'm
Ooh.
sure a lot of the students would like to hear like what you see as the biggest issues they'll face entering this field.
Okay, so this is a fun one. So the PhD program is structured where you have 2 years of coursework, and in the final 3 years, you're working on your papers, but especially your dissertation, because your dissertation is like that's your body of work, that is what you're an expert in. So my dissertation looked at the promotion rates of male and female audit partners, and I am fascinated with kind of the gender diversity in the auditing profession. I actually think that accounting does some things exceptionally well. When you look at
Mhm.
our pass rates, or sorry, our graduation rates from undergrad, it's pretty much 50-50. Mac programs 50-50. Right now, women actually pass the CPA at a higher percentage than men. It's like 51 to 49%. As you look at the big four accounting firms, women comprise 50% all the way up to senior manager. And then we see this drop off from senior manager to partner, where women comprise about 23% of the partners. So I have kind of been obsessed with these facts and figures because I'm like, this
Mhm.
is something really special. Like I think that the business profession as a whole can learn something from the auditing profession. Like I think we're doing something really right,
Yeah.
but then I'm also obsessed with this fact of where do these women go? Why are we losing them in the pipeline? Or are they opting out? Like what's going on to take them from 50% at the senior manager level down to 23%? So I've had
Hmm.
conversations with them. I've done a lot of interviews. Some of it is that they're opting out. Some of them is like that's the time that they want to start a family. Some of it is I think that the work conditions have gotten a lot better, but I still think that there's progress to be made. There are some horror stories from like the 1970s and 80s.
Hmm.
Thankfully, like I think we're much past those situations now, and I think the accounting firms really do value the talent independent of what your gender is.
Hmm. Yeah. Wow. That's really. I think it's really important. Obviously, as a man, I I don't face the same discrimination. So I think it's definitely something that's very important and needs to be highlighted. So that's really
Yeah,
awesome to hear that too.
I think ultimately, like, I kind of view it from if we can efficiently use our talent, male or female, like, we're just going to be a more efficient world.
Hmm.
And there's like this really famous economic theory from his name is Becker, and like he won a Nobel Prize from Chicago in like the 50s and all that. But he basically says that look, like discrimination is suboptimal because you're excluding a talented subset of the population. And so I've always like kind of come back to that theory, and it's always really
Yeah. Wow.
interested me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I guess this actually works perfectly into the next question, but what would you say is one of the biggest misconceptions that students have to face when they first enter the audit field, and how can they better prepare for those realities while they're still in school?
Biggest misconceptions. Truthfully, that's a hard one. I don't know. So, okay, I think that a lot of my students think that like the only thing you can do with an accounting degree is audit. I think
Mm,
that's probably the biggest misconception. I think starting a career in audit is a great place because you're learning broad skill sets, you're learning how companies work, you're learning about the financial reporting process. You can literally do anything you want though, and you don't even have to go into the auditing world. But like let's say you do go into the auditing world, you have this amazing skill set. If you want to start your own company, go for that. If you want
mm,
to be a financial advisor, go to that. If you want to be an equity research analyst, like you're the person that's going to be really apt to break down a company's financial statements. So like I think that the students should get excited about that. Like the world is theirs. They don't have to like stay in public accounting, which there's nothing wrong with that. Like I've seen my students do like all of these different things and it's really fun to see where they go.
yeah. So you heard it first here, folks. He said maybe not auditing is the way to go. So I kind of go into it a little bit after this too. But what made you choose audit over tax?
So it was the audit research that like really got my attention at Florida. I think just studying the audit partners was something that I was very curious about. I am really weird in the sense that like I love looking at people's LinkedIn profiles because I'm like, I
Mhm.
think like kind of what you did with mine, where you're like, how did you go from here to here to here? I
Mhm.
really enjoy seeing people's careers and kind of like inferring the steps that they took. So
Mhm.
yeah.
I there was things been all over my LinkedIn has been that Nike intern that is now hired on as the CEO, and like seeing
Yes.
that like tree of him going up the actual ladder of Nike and never stepping out of the role at Nike is really inspiring, obviously, as all of us are entering that entry level position. Those
So
roles are
I think that's yeah, sorry to cut you off there, but like I think that's super interesting. But then on the other hand, like sometimes you'll see someone will like leave a company, they'll go to another
Mhm.
company, and then they come back to the company. Like those are
Mhm.
things where I'm just like, that's someone's story. I think that's why I like looking at people's LinkedIn profiles.
Yeah, and it's like definitely oversimplified to some way too.
Oh
Like
yeah. Mhm.
seeing like they're there for like 3 or 4 years and have like a sentence, you know. Like there's got to be
Yep,
so many people they met along that way, so many connections. It's definitely really cool to see that
for
too.
sure. Yeah, yeah.
I guess this is kind of going into the connection way, maybe, but for students preparing to enter the field, so all of us, what habits would you recommend we develop now to be adaptable and ahead of the curve into the next step?
Okay, so develop a routine. Like that is the best thing that you can do. You want to look at the way you approach your day as to be as optimal as you can with your time. And that doesn't just mean work. That means like I want you to carve out time for yourself. Like you should have a morning routine. And because a routine is like putting yourself on autopilot. It's lowering the energy required to do those tasks. So like you might find that going to the gym in the morning is really beneficial for you because that sets up your entire day. Like once you get that win, then you go to work, your head is really clear. Whatever it is, like find out the way that you can approach your day that is most optimal. So, like for me, I'm not a morning person. I struggle to get out of bed.
Mhm.
I go
Mhm.
to work, but then like I work out between 4 and 6 o'clock. Then I have dinner with my wife. We hang
Mhm.
out. We'll go for a walk. Those are parts of our routine that I really look forward to. And it just,
Mhm.
once you get in that groove, it feels really good as well.
Mhm. Yeah, I think what I've heard and a lot of people use in the field has been like your non-negotiables. So like the things that you're
Yes.
not willing to give up. So I definitely love what you're saying about that. I personally love the gym. I have my shaker cup from when I just went
Yeah.
to. I love being able to say that that's like a good way to get like the stress out from the day in a
Yeah.
very healthy way.
Yeah, I think like I would encourage people to exercise. Like I think going to the gym is great and you're going to learn about yourself. Like seeing yourself progress, whether it's losing weight or whether it's like lifting more weights or running a little bit longer. Like all of those are really important self-growth opportunities that I think people should lean into.
Yeah, I love that. I guess the last question I have for you for professional insights,
Mhm.
for master students who might be a little bit lost and they would like to put on, what's the best piece of advice you would give? And like, are there any projects or experiences you think like in your life have been your like must-haves? Like what's one thing that would help you get to that next step if you're not fully sure where to even start taking a step?
So talk to everyone, like talk to your professors, talk to the Office of Career Management. The other thing is you guys are a part of like a very loyal network of Buckeyes. If you are on someone's LinkedIn profile and you see someone and you're like, wow, that is a career path that I'm very interested in, shoot them a message. I will be surprised if they are not willing to speak to you. The Buckeyes are very, very loyal. Like I bring them into my classroom all the time. Like they care deeply about you guys because they remember what it was like to be a student. And like some of them who are very successful were once lost as well.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, thank you for all those insights. Now we're going to shift into something a little bit more fast, something I'd like to call the Brutus's Blitz. A little bit of a speed round here
Love
for
it.
our last little bit. So you've been at Ohio State for 6 years, 6.5 years now. What's the most Ohio State thing you've embraced since you've got here?
That's totally the football. Like the football tradition is like amazing. Like I love it. Being a part of it is awesome. Like it's the fall in Ohio State is so fun, and every single year we've been very competitive in football. We're very spoiled, but it's a blast.
Definitely. That's I love the fact that people from all around the state could be loving like the Cleveland Browns or the Cincinnati Bengals,
Yeah.
but everyone sports that Ohio State Blocko on their like
Oh
front
yeah.
lawn. It's everywhere.
Yep.
Okay, so going in back into rowing, you rowed a lot of waters in your time, probably. If you
Hmm.
could pick one spot in Ohio to row for the rest of your life, where would it be?
Okay, so Greg's Reservoir, easy. It is 4 miles west of campus. It's where the OSU ladies team rows out of. It's just beautiful. Like
Okay.
it's probably like 3 or 4 miles up, 3 or 4 miles down. It's sheltered, it's protected, people are nice. Like I was on there a few hours ago and it's heavenly.
That's awesome. I didn't know it was that close. I didn't know we had something
Oh
that
yeah,
close to
yeah.
campus. So that's
Yep.
really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to touch on all the four different colleges you went to. So, what's the biggest culture shock between Boston, Durham, Gainesville, and Columbus?
Okay, so going from UMass to Duke was the basketball. Like that was a
Mm,
bit. UMass was like I really love UMass, but the school spirit at a school like Duke, Florida, or OSU like is just on a completely different level.
hmm
The weather going from North Carolina to Gainesville is like Gainesville can be pretty damn hot.
Yeah.
Uh, and then I don't know, no major culture shock with OSU. Like I'm just very happy here, and I love Columbus.
Okay. So you've kind of settled into the Midwest area now.
Oh
There
yeah.
was one person, I will keep them anonymous, but they told me to ask you this. We have to settle a classic debate. Okay, so when it comes to salads or wings, which team are you choosing? Are you choosing ranch dressing or blue cheese?
Oh, ranch dressing. No questions asked. Yep.
Perfect, perfect. You know who you are. I hope you like that. Finally, last question I have for you is if you weren't teaching and working in audit, what alternative universe career do you think you'd be thriving in right now?
I have coached rowing, and that kind of ties into teaching. I love coaching rowing because I love seeing people develop. Very similar to teaching. Like I loved seeing you guys from like the first day of class to the last day of class, and then also seeing you guys graduate.
Mhm.
So it would probably be coaching rowing in some some aspect.
Yeah, that's perfect. Well, thank you so much for taking your time today to meet with me and to be a part of this. We all thank you so much for everything you do in our classroom, whether that's working with us in office hours or if it's helping us with our career coaching. It's all very, very appreciated. Do you have anything else last minute you'd like to extend to everybody?
No, go Bucks. Like, it's been fun.
OH.
I know.
Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you in the next edition.